Salvador Dali threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
Hello, welcome to Weirder Together. I'm Ione Sky.
And I'm Ben Lee.
And we are happy to be here again, talking to you again.
Coming at you from Sydney, Australia, CBD. CBD's quietened down a little bit. The food court we regularly stop in at is seems to be, I don't know, under renovation or something.
Yeah.
Loss of identity.
Yeah.
You know.
A storm is coming.
Storm is brewing. Your mum and stepdad are arriving from LA tomorrow.
She's bringing a storm.
She is bringing some of that almond butter that I love, which I'm very excited, and some Takis from Trader Joe's. I
know. A couple things we can't get here.
Yeah.
We went to Paradise the other night.
Oh, yeah. Loving Paradise in Potts Point. We talked about
Sydney's popping off again.
New wine bar from the Fratelli Paradiso group. And I'm telling you, Paradise is all about that indoor communal table.
I know.
I didn't quite realize it when we first went there.
So great.
But it's that thing of like you can get in conversations with people you weren't anticipating.
Yeah.
Like that thing of bumping into people and sort of unexpected connections.
I know. We're with these new friends. They're new to me. But this woman was like eyeing someone who came in because she said he was in head to toe Rick Owens.
Yeah. Well, Kitty Callahan, she spotted I
wouldn't be able to spot head to toe Rick Owens.
Yeah, but she works in fashion. I mean,
yeah, and she couldn't believe it.
And I think this guy would proudly own the term twink. I think that was his
almost.
You think almost?
Not completely, but then.
Well, the Rico and platforms gave him a height that perhaps out-twinked him.
So yeah, it's funny. I'm doing a painting and I made the T-shirt on this person tight. The person was you. And it's sort of a sexy picture, I have to say. And I showed my daughter and I was like, because you're like lost some weight. So I was like, but she was like, yeah, I want it a little baggy. And she was like, it's too twink. Not dissing twinks, but I want a different look.
I really love that, we're 20 years into our relationship or whatever. I love that you have formally begun your era of fetishizing your husband. It's an unexpected era, but I'm liking it.
Over the years, I've taken some sneaky shots of you sleeping and some tighty whities looking very cute.
Yeah, it's been a long game.
Yeah.
But I do believe my elevation into sex object in the art world is overdue.
Yeah,
you
got to stay married for 16 plus and then you go back into fetishizing. You look great in this cable knit cashmere sweater.
It's yours.
I know, but it looks better on you. I love cable knit. A stack of cashmere cable knit sweaters.
But you know what? I did a thing at what festival was it? Anyway, there was a festival a few years ago, Splendor in the Grass or something, and I did a panel with Dave Graney, who is a legendary, very stylish Australian rocker. And he was in like a 3-piece suit and, we came off stage. I was wearing a cable knit sweater and he said to me, Ben, what is this? What are you doing? What are you going for? And I was like, well, I do think that even if we say – the thing about fashion is you can't avoid expressing yourself through fashion. Like obviously even people who say they don't care are expressing almost the most through not caring. So I said, I'm expressing something. Can you not read it? Can you not read my heart and soul through this cable knit sweater? And he said, no.
He just thought it was too boring, too normcore. I don't know what he thought.
It wasn't rock and roll enough.
It was dad.
Yeah.
It was dad. I think it looks, I don't know. I think it can go, a cable knit sweater can go many ways for me.
Now, obviously, being 90s indie music veterans, the sweaters being in bands, we can trace back to Pavement, right?
Sure.
I mean, Pavement were pioneers of bringing sort of preppy college culture, kind of snobby, clean-cut culture into grimy indie rock venues. And we watched the new Pavement movie, Pavements, by Alex Ross Perry, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's so interesting because there's a big kind of miss moment, which is this whole idea of doing a musical version of the songs, which I'm sorry, it didn't come off. It didn't come off.
It didn't land for you.
Didn't land. But I did love the reenactments with Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Was so freaking funny.
He's playing Chris Lombardi from Matador or something.
And then the actor who played
Malkmus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark. No.
Stephen Malkmus.
Stephen Malkmus, sorry. Mark Malik. Who's the Mark Malik? And then there's the guy.
Mark Malik is the guy you got in an argument with at the Lexus dealership many years ago.
I had a long
surprising cameo in the Pavements movie. No one saw that coming.
I had a long, feisty fight with this person who's leased me a car, and every time I got on the phone with him, we fought.
Yeah,
because I was spicy about it. But anyway,
back to Stephen Malkmus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the actor who played reenactments of him was terrific, and I wondered if he improvised or if Tim Heidecker wrote the lines for him, because his improv was very funny. And I don't want to say this cute actor couldn't write good lines or come up with good lines, but Tim Heidecker is in it, and he's obviously a brilliant mind and a great writer himself. So anyway, but it was great. I mean, I thought I didn't know the band, of course, and then every song that came on, I was like, oh yeah, I love this song. Oh yeah, I love this song. So
Pavement, deeply important band for me, and it's been very interesting watching them be claimed by Gen Z, particularly. They had their biggest hit with a B-side called Harness Your Hopes, which became the Fit Check song on TikTok.
Oh.
So like Goldie, all her friends, they all know this song. The song went platinum.
Okay. From TikTok.
Yeah, from TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's a B-side. It's like, so it's very,
I did
amazing
love,
trajectory.
Courtney Love called him the Grace Kelly
of indie rock.
Indie rock, because he had a coldness. Grace Kelly was an ice queen.
Yeah.
With some warmth, but yeah, he's an ice queen.
And was she kind of waspy and intellectual?
Yeah, the most. The most waspy. But yeah.
I remember Tamra Davis saying that Stephen Malkmus stayed with them once, and she found a completed Sunday New York Times crossword puzzle downstairs, which is such a Stephen. And she said, I'm saving that.
Oh yeah,
cool.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, all in all, I'd say the movie is really like for Pavement fans, basically. I don't know if it's going to go far beyond that, but I guess what's most interesting about it is a real break from a clean rock and roll documentary. It's got all these sort of like twisted performance art sort of elements to it that are, it's just fun to see someone try something different with a medium.
Yeah, I guess there's like, what was the Meisner brothers or whatever they did to Rolling Stone?
The
Maisels
brothers.
The Maisels.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting all my M's.
Did you say the Meisner brothers?
I'm getting all my M's mixed up.
Lauren Meisner from Centennial World. Yeah.
They did it wasn't a rock documentary, but it was.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like
Gimme Shelter. Yeah.
So I guess you can go all over the place.
It's ripe for reinvention. I think the thing that jumped out to me was, as like a young fan of that band, I did not realize how terribly their relationships had degraded by the end of the band, and how deep the resentment was flowing. Like there's that amazing scene of Malkmus lying down and totally pulling focus from Spiral Stairs during the one of two songs he got to sing lead on. And you were just like, man, there's some like bitch moves going on.
Oh my God. So another band member who's
Scott Camberg,
in the band majorly has one or two songs that they sing. And when they're singing, the other lead is lying down, rolling around, and so the audience is looking at him, but not because he needs attention all the time, but it's like he didn't think the songs were good.
I think it's like there was a degree of sabotage. You see that happen in bands. It's like families, like brothers and sisters do that kind of shit to each other.
But they're like toddlers.
Yeah. That's
anyway, I'm no shade. I love that band, and he seems great, and I would totally kiss up to him if I was with him.
I remember talking to Jay Mascis's wife about the 90s and stuff. And she's like, the thing everyone remembers, these were guys in the early 90s, in their mid-20s, that had no emotional communication skills, no vocabulary for like actually talking about it. Like the way, I mean, obviously now there's so many issues with teenage boys and everything, but at least there's a conversation about the mental health of young men and stuff, which is like, back then it was just like guys just drank basically. Yeah. So anyway, I did want to address something that came up in the last podcast. Obviously that conversation about Australian music and everything, it led to some just amazing dialogue going on and stuff in the wider community. But there was an ongoing kind of critique of what I was saying, that there's not enough support for Australian artists by people really championing community radio. And obviously 2SER, PBS, 4ZZZ, Triple R, FBI, these are all amazing platforms. But the point I was making was about breaking Australian artists. Like, community radio is not well funded enough and does not have a big enough audience to break Australian artists.
Right.
And obviously at an indie level, that is super important that those platforms exist. But artists, we don't have a culture where artists are going to be able to rest comfortably going, oh, well, I'm supported by community radio. There's a, career. So anyway, that was my point.
It's like anything that's like a minority or whatever, like there are not enough female directors, then you can say, well, what about this person, that? And there's 5.
Yeah.
But you're like, well, we just want more.
Yeah. And community radio is like a gorgeous way for people locally to band around the talent that's available. And, but it's just, I don't even think that radio is going to be they might be part of the solution to this problem, but radio is a dying medium.
Yeah.
It's a legacy media platform, and the listenership is going down every year. So I think radio—
something else.
Yeah, radio can be part of the solution to cultural issues, but it can't be expected to carry the burden, the weight of that fully on its own.
Yeah.
What are you smiling about?
I'm smiling about
cheeky grin.
Dulwich Hill.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Let's talk about the Transgenre festival that we went to.
Let's talk about a little festival.
At Lazy Thinking in Dulwich Hill.
I came in just totally not knowing what was going to happen, and DJ Dad Bod
played. It was Funeral were headlining, Huck Hastings opening, DJ Dad Bod closing out the night. This was a magical event at such a cool place.
Yeah, Funeral was a 2-hander, right?
No, Funeral is a little bit of a rotating crew around, like Tim Blunt, but it's designed to be somewhat amorphous, and move with collaboration. Because they brought in a
new person, and I was joking that there was somebody for everybody because everyone was cute, very different. The new person was just like, not indie sleaze, but he was just like hot. And like, and then there's this great, it's just a great lineup visually. I know that sounds superficial, but also they have really good songs and they're fans.
Okay, so you're saying the band looked good. We got that. That's important. That is important.
I know.
All the history of great rock and roll, you have to have bands looking great.
Yeah, they all look good. But the fans were adorable, and I didn't know what to expect. It was such a fun venue, and it was a great band. And then you opened with Neighbours, and you played
the Neighbours theme song.
The whole theme song, and everyone was dancing.
Actually, I played the extended version of the Neighbours theme song,
which
I think if you watch Neighbours, they only played 30 seconds. I did the full 90 seconds.
I'm saying you played the whole song.
Yeah.
And that's all you did. No. And then you had the most fun set. And it was funny to figure out what different crowds like. Like at first you were playing kind of like old school hip hop, fell flat.
Totally fell flat. There were no old dirty bastard fans. There were no young dirty bastards
but then we all
in this non-binary crew.
We sang video games, Lana Del Rey.
Did a house remix of that.
It was so fun. Anyway, the whole thing was great.
But that whole thing was so interesting because it's funny the prejudices you can bring to events going in that you're not aware of. Like when you think of progressive communities, like this was an event in support of trans organizations and trans communities. They often have, like, the more progressive organizations have a bit of a reputation of being humorless. Like people think of like the woke left as being overly earnest, overly serious, not sexy, not vibing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was a vibey crowd. I honestly think on the whole, the sort of like trans rights organizations need to tap into what Funeral and Transgenre are doing and use them as PR, because it was just the best vibe. It was like everyone was like open-hearted and fun and curious and smiling and flirting, and it was just like a good vibe.
Really good vibe.
I love that. And Funeral, who we put out on We Did Together, I got up and sang a song with them that's going to be their next single. which is, and they're just like it was funny. I was watching Funeral Play and I was thinking, just for people who don't know, it's FVNERAL. If you're looking up funeral, they spell it that way. But it was the first time I felt like almost since like Dashboard Confessional that I saw this bond between artists and fans where the fans were singing these words and you could tell they were touched. It was like their music.
Yeah.
And that's when phenomenas really can start.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
That was exciting. I know we've been going out nonstop, which has been kind of unusual for us or me.
I feel like there are so many podcasts where you talk about how we never go out.
And we're going out every time. Well, I don't know. I guess since I've been in Sydney or I don't know, right before we moved, we were having a lot of parties. I don't know. Something happened when our kids got a little older.
Well, we progressed out of having little kids.
Yeah. We're
back, baby.
Oh, I know. We were not those couples that went out while having children. I just was just.
No, when the kids were little, we would have people to our house.
Yeah. I was very clean cut when they were little. Just my own thing I was doing.
Also you have to get up really early. So the whole idea of being out late, it doesn't really.
But now forget about it.
But after Transgenre, we went to Frida's and it was Dave, one of the owners. It was his birthday and Byron was there. It was one of his last nights and it was we just had a great boogie.
I know, going up from one thing to the next.
And it was really awesome. But last Thursday, I opened my email and we were blessed with season 3 of Caveh Zahedi's The Show About the Show.
Oh, my God.
Which anyone who listens to this pod will have heard us reference Caveh and The Show About the Show before. For those new listeners, Caveh is an Iranian-American filmmaker who makes first-person confessional cinema, documentary
weirdly,
cinema.
he's as close to a Woody Allen filmmaker. Not only weirdly because his movies are not high budget, not stylish in that same way that because Woody Allen at the end of the day, it's like Hollywood movies. So in some ways but in so many ways, it's very Woody Allen.
Yeah. And
which is a compliment.
So he made all these documentaries in the past. His first sort of hit on notable film was called I Am a Sex Addict. And it was about his addiction to seeing sex workers.
Which is, I don't know about the sex workers, but he's still a sex addict.
The themes have continued through his work.
Yeah. And he's not a very good friend of ours, but a friend of ours. We're in one of the seasons.
Yeah, we do. We make an appearance in season 4. So he's made 4 seasons and every episode, this is the thing you got to wrap your head around that until you watch it, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But every episode is about the making of the episode before it. So it is this meta, all-encompassing art cinema project.
And you can't stop watching.
And it gobbles up. It's in some ways like this creative black hole that sucks into it everyone that comes in contact with Caveh in his life. But
oh my God,
black hole's not the right term because it nourishes everybody too.
I know, but remember that dark, I think he's New Zealander. He makes the documentaries about, I think he did a Scientology one. And
oh no, you mean the guy that made Tickle?
Yes.
That guy, David Farrier.
Yeah. Is he a New Zealander?
Yeah, he's a New Zealander.
He did that one about that guy who sucked you into his world, but it was toxic and horrible really bad. Whereas Caveh, people want to be in his world because they're huge fans of his
very
work.
High level.
Very high level.
Made.
So and he teaches, he's a professor of film.
At the New School. Yeah.
At the New School. And so people want to be in his class. He's very, admired deeply. But this one we heard from Ion Pack, another great podcast, that this was the most controversial, which is saying a lot because they're all quite controversial. And we were like, wow, okay. And then it was hard. A harder one to watch in some ways.
And it's an interesting process because he'd released
But just as addicting is so good.
Yeah, he'd done season 1, 2, and 4. And this is going back and releasing season 3. So it came out and filled out this gap that occurred right around the divorce, the dissolution of his marriage, which all is documented throughout the show. What's so interesting about this season of The Show About the Show is that Caveh directly confronts his most poignant criticism that he's received, which is that he's manipulative, that in some ways the lines of consent are blurry, and that he exploits other people's suffering, and it is essentially kind of like uncaring in like a Werner Herzog way. Like it's all about the film.
Yeah.
Anyone who gets crushed along the way, it's in service of art.
Yeah.
And this season is about that.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because he's a sensitive, caring person. So you think like all these women who come into his lives, because he does get a lot of women, they think I will be able to handle him. But I was sort of talking about it, like kind of like when I went on Howard.
That's like Evan Dando's collaborators.
Like when I went on Howard Stern, I was like, I know how to handle this. I'm not going to get crushed. This was a long time ago when Howard Stern was still like shock jock and, you know, treating women in this way. And I was like, you know, it's like a lot of women, I think they can handle it. But you can't out-Trump someone in their own world.
Right.
Like that's Howard Stern's world. He's going to come across and do what he wants. Even if you can handle yourself, you might not. Do you know what I mean? And so you can try, and it was fine. Like I came off fine, but also not, you know what I'm saying? So I think every woman that comes into his life is like, I love his art. I get him. He's sensitive. But, you know, he still manipulates and puts his work first and not ruins these women's lives, but he picks very fragile women, and he likes neurotic women who struggle with their mental health. So that's not helpful. But they get him and they think they can handle him because they're artistic, but they get rattled.
Absolutely. And going back to the Howard Stern analogy, what strikes me about that is so interesting that with Howard Stern, even the quality of his voice and his microphone, it sounds louder, better, clearer, more dominant than any guests that come onto his radio show. So what that indicates to me is that even the technological framework of the way we make art is in the control of its creator. Yeah. And I think that when people enter Caveh's show, and this is what I think a lot of the women complain about, is ultimately he's editing it. It's his framework, and he is going to be in charge of how you come off.
Yeah.
And in this season, he experiments with giving the women their voices and their stories more freedom to kind of tell their version of the ways that he's fucked up their relationships.
But ironically, it makes him look worse.
Yeah, that's not ironic. That's exactly what they said.
Okay.
They said that like you won't let me tell it my way because you want to come off as the nice guy.
I know, that's right. But he's like, well, I will be the nice guy. But then it's like, this is what you get.
There's an amazing article that I'll link to in the show notes that was in the New York Times from 2019 with the headline, "A filmmaker bared his soul, it ruined his life," which is amazing and is a really, is also addressed. That article is addressed in the season too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you a question. Caveh's main operating principle is honesty, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the defense he has against a lot of his behavior. He's like, I was being honest. I'm 100% dedicated to honesty. What do you think about honesty in art? Like sometimes I sort of half agree with Caveh and half I believe that like it's all an illusion and that art is a series of lies that are told in a very entertaining way. Like, What do you think about honesty in art?
I mean, I think that it's like whoever's making it. It's the same with like AI. If you've got someone who's a really good artist or a really smart person, like whatever, they'll use it. It's dependent on who's making it. And I believe in white lies when it's not going to help. I just put out the memoir and I wasn't honest 100% to protect people.
Right.
And so
Bill Clinton said lies are what keep our private lives private.
Yeah. I think
he said that. If not, I'd like to attribute it to him.
Yeah. That's great. So yeah, I think like, sure. But also art is, I wouldn't like hang my hat on this is, Yeah, it depends what you think is honest and what is, I don't know. I don't know if that's like the only thing.
Well, it's his, I mean, we all have our own.
But also
you know,
he puts it together. That's what makes him a good filmmaker, is what he is picking and his editing and his choices.
That's it. And I think with documentary, I remember debating this with Spike Jonze. We were talking about Capturing the Freedmans, and he was like, it's what happened. And I was like, it's a documentary. So essentially it's being crafted to tell a narrative. And that's, I always think of that Oscar Wilde quote, give a man a mask, he'll show you the truth. I think lies and fantasy and illusion can actually often tell more truth than this sort of like,
And you
idealistic attempt to like, I'm going to tell everything.
And how can you be really honest? Like Caveh will admit that he doesn't know himself completely. So what he thinks he's doing might not really be honest, but he thinks it. I don't know,
Right.
How can you know?
Well, one of the big things he says is that people say they're shocked by his show, but it's only because he's being honest, that if each of us were to make a show that was really about our lives and our relationships, we'd all be shocked by each other.
I had a friend in junior high, which is what do you call it? Middle school here?
Year 7, 8,
Year
9,
7,
whatever.
8, 7, 8. She decided
6, 7.
6, 7. What is that from again?
It's a TikTok thing. You know that one, right? Yeah.
6, 7.
It's a Gen Z thing.
She decided to be honest and only say how she felt. So you would be on the phone with her and she'd be like, I don't really feel like talking to you right now. This conversation is not fun at the moment. I'm going to hang up. And then like, it was so annoying. Like after a while, our friends came together and were like, oh my God, have you noticed what Meg is doing? And she was like, at first I was like, that's cool. She should just do this honest thing. But then it was just like irritating. Like we thought it was obnoxious or something. I don't know. Cause she also liked to do things. She dressed like Boy George. She was a fan, which was so cool. Especially we were in a Catholic school wearing uniforms and she's with Boy George braids, which I thought was amazing. And secretly she was like winning all the awards, like a really good student. But we never even knew. Anyway, she was a great person, but yeah.
So I guess part of it is that honesty can often be used as an excuse for cruelty. That's kind of what you're saying. It's like when you point out, it's passive aggressive. Like if you point out someone's got food on their face and you do it loudly in front of everybody else at a table.
I know what you're saying, but I just have to say that she was not doing it. She was almost like, she just liked to try things that, like once I went over and she said, let's make ourselves so physically uncomfortable that when we take a shower, it's so comfortable. So we rubbed like tea leaves on our body.
This is so Catholic.
It was just like she was sort of experimental.
Right, but just to be clear, I was talking more about Caveh. I wasn't accusing her. I wasn't trying to character assassinate your friend Meg from junior high.
No, I'm saying like it wasn't to be a bitch.
Right. But I'm just saying it can be.
Sure.
Honesty can be used as an excuse for, like you always say, you end up shooting the messenger often.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way that someone delivers their message, even if it's honest, can come across with like some anger or some hostility.
Don't bring me bad news because I will put my feeling of getting the bad news onto you.
I know you got angry at me the other day because I said something about Hollywood. There's not as much going into production. And you like, I was just sharing like the truth and you got angry at me about it.
Because you're the one who made it that way.
Totally. But anyway, look, hunt down the show about the show. Caveh Zahedi is there is no other voice like him in art right now. It's like if you like Nathan Fielder or John Wilson or anything like that.
It's not for everyone, but for me, I can't stop watching it once I start.
Yeah. And he is kind of like, for some reason I see Caveh as like a protester who lights himself on fire. You know, those kind of like self-immolation that he is blowing up his own life for the art. And that is an incredible thing to watch.
Last thing I'll say is it feels like, you know, When Food is Love. Remember that book?
I do.
His version of that is if you are in his show and just doing whatever he wants you to do and sacrificing your time and all of this, that's him getting love. And not just because he believes in his show, he does, but it also feels like it's loaded. It's like, that's his version of like all eyes on me, all eyes on me.
Totally. But you know what's funny? I was thinking about like Salvador Dali, Andy Warhol, it's usually men, these men who create these artistic worlds that in order to enter it, you basically have to sign a waiver of any concern for your own vanity or yourself. You are going to become a clown in their circus.
Sure. I like going into that sometimes, but it depends like on the scenario. Sometimes I'll go for the crazy shoot if it's of genius.
Now the Comeback 3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how excited are we about the comeback coming back?
I know.
Lisa Kudrow, incredible. What was it? It's a satire, fake reality show on HBO.
Lisa Kudrow, genius.
Absolutely.
So I have a question for you.
Okay. Oh my God. The intensity with which you are looking at this note is terrifying.
It's so terrifying.
Okay.
So out of story songs that tell a story, when you were a kid, did you like ever listen to them and memorize all the words?
Puff the Magic Dragon. Mm-hmm. Which other ones? Trying to think. That's the big one that comes to mind.
Hotel California.
I didn't get obsessed with that. But I grew up in the 80s. You more grew up in the 70s.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Rocky Raccoon.
I like Rocky Raccoon, yeah.
We were just listening to Up the Junction, that Squeeze song. That's a story song.
Oh, yeah, that is a story song.
Do you have any story songs?
I had, one of my records, Something to Remember Me By, because I was so into Loudon Wainwright, and in a way all his songs are sort of story songs. So I found that the story song, it almost limits the type of emotional projection the audience can put onto it because it dictates so intensely.
What about Isis, Bob Dylan?
Yeah, very important song for us. The song that was playing when I first laid eyes on you.
Oh, my God.
Isis from Desire was playing. Your brother had it on a turntable. I walked into your house and Bob Dylan's voice was going, I was thinking about turquoise. I was thinking about gold. I was thinking about diamonds and the world's biggest necklace. And you were standing there. And in some ways that song to me, it's like my love for you.
And you married not Isis, you married Ione.
Yeah, true. You mean, that's true. Is there a connection?
Because there's a lyric.
Mythical.
Well, it starts.
Yeah, mythical creature. But anyway, but that
he
song.
He says it starts, I married Isis.
That song is so
You should have gotten married on the 5th day of May.
5th day of May, yeah. That song's so non-literal
it's about a cowboy who's digging graves for jewels.
Well, the fact that you can't say exactly what it's about is why it allows you to keep
But what's Hotel
it.
California? It's about a hotel where people do cocaine? Probably.
Sounds about right.
That was my big note for the pod today.
To ask me about story songs. Do you like them? Should I write more story songs?
You don't have to.
You know Allday? You know the Aussie rapper Allday?
Yes.
Who did that song, Miss You Still, with the Cigarettes Will Kill You sample?
Yes.
He got in a wild situation this week where a K-pop band has come out called Allday. Allday something, Allday Productions, Allday
Don't
Industries
mess with the K-pop bands. Okay, there's going to be some power behind them.
Yeah, exactly. So Tom Allday, he basically took to social media and said this is blatant copyright infringement, and also said that the entire genre of K-pop is shit.
Oh no!
And I
wouldn't say that.
It was pretty wild. He picked a fight. And I think what he realized was that he only had the name trademarked in Australia and the US. So the trademark actually wouldn't be honored within Korea. So they're entitled to have a project called, Allday. But so what he came out and said was Allday said he's now decided to drop the lawsuit if the label would add him to the group's official lineup. He said, if I can be in the band Allday Project, I will drop my lawsuit, which I'm definitely going to win, by the way. But you have to kick that guy Tarzan out of the band. I want to be the main guy. So look, high-level trolling, great, well done. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that really jumped out at me about this whole incident was the way the K-pop stans pushed back and started attacking Allday because he was attacking K-pop.
Yeah.
Right? And it went mental on X. And the Korea Times quoted an X user who said, stealing your name, they don't even know you. You just want clout because you saw their success. Stop being delusional. Grow up. And what I was really interested in about this is that K-pop is a totally corporate enterprise. Like, take your fandom out of this situation. But this is a classic David and Goliath story. This is a truly independent artist speaking out, having a bit of fun, poking the bear at this K-pop corporation. And the way that young audiences can basically be turned into shills for corporations, I was just like, you were like literally the people in the Roman Colosseum cheering for the lions.
Yeah, but if you have kids who like one band and the band is made up of people, and sure, there's the corporation behind it. There's so much money and there's people behind it and they put the bands together maybe. But then at the end of the day, it's like human beings in the bands and there's human beings loving the bands.
I get that, but
they're not the ones who are the corporation, the band, or the
but
fans.
I just think young audiences should be cheering the underdog in general.
Yeah.
Cheer on the underdog.
But it's like a 13-year-old who's like loves this whatever. But
I
yeah.
know. Still, I just thought it was like, I thought it was kind of a mark of the way just art and culture are so corporatized that you can convince an audience that they're like standing up for their rights and for a good cause by defending a corporation.
Yeah. No,
it's
I get
depressing.
your side.
It's like artistic. It's like a society committing artistic suicide. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I found it kind of depressing. I hope that Tom, even though he may not be able to push this thing through legally, I will hope he does not stop trolling K-pop. I think that's a voice that we need to be platforming.
All of K-pop.
I can't be the only troll in the Australian music industry. I need some help. Tom, thank you.
I know that's true.
Yeah.
No, it was a funny back and forth.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. What else? FBI fundraiser I went to the other night, just back to community radio. It's amazing. Anyone who's involved in community radio, just going back to what I was saying, I know it's not going to save the industry, but it's such a vital thing to be involved in your community. And if you care about radio, that's a really good place to also just get some skills and move forward and, get involved in the industry. So I was happy to be involved in that fundraiser the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to crack the code.
Yeah, are we?
I don't know. Feels like we're on a mission.
I know, hasn't it been funny? Like, it's just been so nice getting there's been a lot of love. It's funny, a lot of people don't agree with everything I say, which is absolutely fine. But I think people are genuinely happy that there's conversations going. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So what else, babe? What's this week going to hold for you?
Just, just hanging out with my mom and showing her around. And, I'm really excited.
Hopefully it's not canasta. What was her community she was trying to tap into?
Mahjong.
Mahjong. Hopefully she finds some. Did we talk about that last week?
I think.
About how she was getting some harsh words from the Mahjong community of Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah. For wanting to play American style.
Yeah. And we'll try to stop our kids on vacation, and she's crafting up a storm, which is costing a lot of money.
Yeah.
But she's really good.
She is really good.
So I keep wanting to frame everything. She genuinely is like a good artist. So I'm grumpy when she's buys more stuff from Spotlight and then she makes it. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Also, I guess it's good for your kid to be crafting.
Totally.
Or doing art.
Totally.
So yeah, I'm just going to be, I'm doing, a series of paintings. I did a fun, exciting audition for something that could be really interesting.
Also, congratulations on that beautiful Good Weekend article that Ben Moore interviewed you. You looked great. You were funny.
Yeah.
I just love, I'm such a fan of yours.
Benjamin Law makes you sound good. He's fun. Have you done something with him? He's so fun to talk to.
Well, I did that Wellmania writers room with him. That's where I met him. And then he did some Weirder Together shows. Yeah.
So yeah, I have not much to say. I had a stomach ache and it's gone.
Hey.
So, that's great.
All righty. Well, beautiful babies. Sign up to our mailing list if you would like. The link is in the show notes. We're going to get back. Share. That's right. Come on, hype us up. You were saying you want to do this more.
Share on your socials
if you like the pod.
Yeah, and tag us or tag our podcast. Thing.
Why not?
At Weirder Together.
I love that.
Share it. Spread the word.
Love it.
That's all I have to say.
Absolutely. Tickets for the Awake is the New Sleep 20th anniversary tour are out now. They're on sale. Some of the shows, we got 2 of them that are like close to selling out. The others, there's room, but we're a couple months away, so people should pick up their ticks. Can't wait to see you there, and we'll speak to you soon.
I'll be
Beautiful
there
babies.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Speak to you soon.
Together we're weirder, we're weirder together.